Hey, what's up, guys? It's Ben 2000 YGO, your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh superhero, back again. I know this video is so late, guys, and I am so sorry about that. This deck was just giving me a little bit of problems. I was trying to play it without cards that I feel like are that I see now are kind of important. You know, because, I'm one of those people who tries to play decks in weird ways. Like the Dragoonity Kaiju deck that works so well that I have. But sometimes you got to go a little more with what's kind of already established. But that doesn't mean there isn't wiggle room, which you'll see when we get to the deck profile. Before we get to that deck profile and the replay footage, because you're going to see that before you get to the deck profile, because that's all how we do things here, in case you're new. If you are new, consider subscribing and liking. That'd be very much appreciative. But before we get to all that, I want to remind you guys that I have an affiliation with YourPlayMat. So if you guys want to support the channel and get something that's really cool and unique, that's just, going to be something that screams you, YourPlayMat is a really cool way to do that with your deck. Like, and in my case, I got my logo put on the back of my sleeves for my Dino deck. So I think they're really cool. They're really good sleeves. I'm not gonna lie, guys. There's a few times where I was shuffling and I had some cards go, and I was like, "Whoa!" I had to snag it real fast. It was kind of funny. Anyway, that might be a story for a later time. But make sure that you go check them out. That'll be the top link in the description. Or you could go to their website and use code BEN10YP, and you'll get 10% off, and you'll be supporting the channel. How cool is that? Go get something cool that you really already need, that kind of screams you, because everybody's got their own little aesthetic they want to show off. And, also support the channel, and, that's just going to help me get, cards and other things. And yes, I did pick a plant monster for that that part on purpose. Alright, guys, let's get into that replay footage, and then at the end we'll show you that deck profile. And there you have it, guys. That is the Plant Rose Dragon deck. I think it's just Rose Dragons. Anyway, in action. Like I said, I told you guys, the meta decks don't really want to play with me. I don't know what that's about. Not that this deck probably would have done all that great, to be brutally honest, but that's okay. This deck's more about fun and playing against decks that are probably around more of its caliber. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into that. Let's see here. We got to start with the deck profile. We got Titanial. It doesn't really matter what kind of plant deck I'm playing. I always want to play Titanial. So in older versions of this of my decks that I used for plant synchroing, because I've always liked plant monsters to synchro summon, but unfortunately Konami's mean and wants to ban all the good ones. So, but Titanial was always something I wanted to play, even with Lone Fire Blossom and stuff like that. But this deck can still do it without it, so that's why it's here. And I don't know. Sometimes negating target effects is actually really good. Plus, she's actually a large attack point monster, which actually does come up a few times. And her defense isn't bad either. So even though like a lot of the effects summon the plant monsters in defense mode, 2600 can be a pain to get over for certain decks. Especially when you have a target negation, because a lot of stuff like like stealing other monsters or just targeted destruction, things like Sky Strikers, Magical Musketeers, those kind of decks, they need to target to get most of their some of their really powerful effects that are spot removal or target effects. So Camilla's here can just kind of go and then we got our carrot heavyweight champion dude. He's a wrestler that's a carrot. Just an extender. There's really not much to say about him. Then we got the White Rose Dragon. This card is like uber good, although Edo Pro doesn't like to give it to me, to be honest with you. I never open with this damn thing, and I played 3 of it. I don't know why Edo Pro hates me so much. Anyway, this card is actually really good because basically it's if you have one of the other Rose Dragons in the graveyard or in your hand, you can normal summon it and summon them out for free. Or if you have a plant tuner or a dragon tuner on the field, it can summon itself for free. So it's got 2 summoning effects that are actually really good. And then it gets used as synchro material. It sends basically our level 4 or higher plants, which is just these 2 guys right here. So that is a very good, very good. And then we got our Stratos, which is Rox Rose. There's really not much else to say with that. If our stuff gets destroyed, this is one of the cool things about it is Rox Rose will put itself back in her hand, so it's resources to keep playing. Excuse me, I really like that aspect of this card. Like I said, like I was gonna say, there's a lot of cards that are that need discard fodder, so this is just another card that can do that. Also, it can get plays started for the next round because it's a searcher. Yeah, so basically this card can come back if one of our synchros and plants gets destroyed, and then it's like, haha, here you go, you get me back. And then it's almost like it's a 1-card combo for a big monster going into the next game. Then we got our Planet Orpha Scorpio. Now, I've only got 2 in this one, and the reason why is because if you guys didn't know, most of my decks are based off of my personal collection and as of late, also what I have ordered. Which you're about to talk about that. That's kind of been a new development. It's, because I'm a budget player. I only buy cheap cards. Then we got this card, Rose Princess. This one is a very good card. Basically, she's going to fill... It basically gives you a free... excuse me. She is a free plant in the graveyard, which is very useful for some of our other cards, as well as that she can be a Cyber Dragon if we're going second, which that's one of the issues that this deck had in previous incarnations when I was trying to figure out how I wanted to play the deck. So this card, being able to search a field spell that's going to basically let us summon extra times, is really good, as well as filling the graveyard with a plant and being a Cyber Dragon-esque card. Like, those are for our particular build, the Cyber Dragon-esque effect and the filling the graveyard with a plant monster effect are the most important. They're not the end-all be-all, but they are the most important. Then we got the Red Rose Dragon. This card is really awesome because and one thing I really like about this card is like the reason why I went to play it at 2 is because it's hard. It can be a brick and it's hard to get out, especially if like you have to use your normal summon on this card, or you have to attempt to use the White Rose Dragon. And personally, I try to avoid effects that are very that are like imperm or effect valuable, if that makes any sense. Uh, that's why in most kind of the games when I have both these guys, I prefer to go like normal special. The idea is to limit the amount of effectiveness of a card like effect valor or infinite impermanence. So just a just a play trick that is in my mind. I try to avoid moves where those kinds of hand traps are, optimal. And because if you don't have a follow up, you're gonna be stuck with that weenie monster, and you don't want that. So, this card can also get you a card like Frozen Rose, as if it's used for a plant or a Rose Dragon synchro. And I just Frozen Rose is a good card, but the better effect is to tribute a plant monster and draw two. But I feel like that draw phase is then at the end phase, and you have to discard a card, which I don't really like. I think Frozen Rose would have been better if it was just a draw two for plants, but unfortunately Konami didn't build the card right, in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there. So, then we got our Predaplant Cobra. I'm playing two because I only have two of this available, and frankly, Edo Pro hates me, so it likes to put this in my hand, even when I only play it at one. So basically, to circumvent that, I play two, and then I've got Allure of Darkness. You really should play 3 and 1, but I don't have them available, and I didn't order another one. I may order another Scorpio and just fix it, but for now I'm doing 2 and 2. It's just to get to this, and Instant Fusion just gives us our Fusionist. It's just another extender. Basically, we're just using this to make Exceeds plays or our Link plays. Basically, then we got Rose Girl. Now, Rose Girl is a very good card. I didn't realize how good this card was at first. I kind of looked at it and went, eh. But then, as I started playtesting with it, I started realizing, oh, that's why this card is so heavily played in these kinds of decks. You know what I mean? I just thought, oh, tuner that adds itself back to the hand, and without realizing, oh, that's the reason why. Also, I kind of skimmed over the effect that if a plant monster dies, you get to summon it for free, or it goes to the graveyard. It's just because if it goes to the graveyard, it doesn't even matter if it was sent there as synchro material or if it was sent there as being destroyed in battle or card effect. Rose Girl's just would you like to summon me? And I'm like, yes, chump block, please. And then of course, if you have a plant, it just comes back to the hand. It doesn't get banished or nothing. It's basically Sinister Serpent, like back in the day. It's just, you gotta control a plant monster. That's it. It's like old school Sinister Serpent before the errata. And I'm like, oh, well that's actually really good, because a lot of our cards require there to be plant monsters to ditch for them. Our Carrot Weight and our Orphoscorpio need a monster to go. So the easiest way for us to work around that is to play Rose Girl, because free ditch, free fodder. And of course, and then Rose Princess here, actually, remember I said you need plants for certain things in the graveyard? Spore. There you go. Free level 4 tuner. So it actually comes out as a level 4 tuner when you ditch it, and that's just helps with all of our level 7 plays. We got Effect Veiler, just because, this kind of a budget build. I don't want to spend oodles and gobs of money. Then we got Allure of Darkness in here, because we are playing a crap ton of Darks, and we do have a good chunk of them that can just go at any time. You really only need, one red Rose Dragon to go off, and then you can just kind of get rid of the spares if you don't need them. And then, of course, the Predaplant engine has its drawbacks that way, so, you can ditch a spare Cobra. Or if you happen to draw the Instant Fusion, anytime you draw the Cobras or the Scorpio, there's really no reason to not just go Allure of Darkness and try to get into the more streamlined stuff of your deck. Then we got the one Instant Fusion for the Cobra. There's your target. You have other targets you can play that are just as valid. That are probably better. This is just the one I went with for the cards that I have available for the deck. Which I don't know. I might order cards in the future to try to update it, but that'll come in future videos. Pot of Avarice, just because we fill the graveyard really easily. And I mean uber easily, especially with the extra deck stuff involved. Oh my goodness, we can easily fill this bad boy up and then throw the one time I drew this card and resolved it, I literally threw, like, out of the 5 monsters that went back, 3 of them were from the extra deck, so... Then we got the upstart, you know, just because we gotta get through our stuff as quickly as we possibly can, because Konami didn't really give a draw card or a searchable draw stuff for plants. So, and if they did, I'm pretty sure that card would probably be expensive anyway. So, then we got Monster Reborn, just because it's, basically it gives us access to the cards that we were already needing to extend with. Called by the Grave, because hand traps are a pain in the ass. Forbidden Chalice, because we can't afford droplets. Or a card like that, so we just play Chalice. It works. I just needed like 1 card to fill the deck when I was building it, and I thought, well, Chalice will work. Hasn't let me down yet. Then we got Basil Roshu. This is the card you're going to be searching for most of the time with Rox Rose Dragon. The reason why is because this card is basically Monster Reborn, or if you have to, you can use it to take one of the other Rose Dragons from your hand. It doesn't come up often that you'll have to do that, but having that as an option is very good. But then, of course, we got the Cloister. Like I said, guys, this is basically you get to basically summon a plant or a Rose Dragon for free if you don't have anything. So it basically lets you play more monsters in your turn, which I think is really good. But you don't want to play more than one because it's kind of a brick, which is why we're playing triple of the Princess. And then, of course, it does have this really unique effect that you can reveal a monster spell or trap before you draw. Or what you can call monster spell or trap, and then reveal that card before you draw. And then, if it's the correlating type of card, then all your level 7 or higher synchros will gain 1,000 attack boost that turn. I honestly don't think that that's worth using, to be honest. And the reason why I say that is because you're giving your opponent free information, because I think they get to see the card too. So it's you got to reveal a top card. So I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you're just in a pinch and you need that extra damage. And then I got your Solemn Judgments, because we need all the negation we can get. And, especially for the budget builds, because, you're not going to have access to some of the more powerful negation cards that you're going to need, frankly. So, speaking of that, let's go ahead and get in there. I got mine. I got lucky for mine. This is like a $20 card. I got mine cheaper than that. I got lucky for that. But here you go. You need your Blood Rose Dragon. And then we got the Trishula. I never really summoned this card, to be really honest, so this card will probably come out, but when it does come out, it is kind of fun. Yazi is actually really important because, like I said, there's a lot of things that target, and you just play Yazi, and then this guy's like, oh, I don't care, you can target all you want. You can't hit me. So, then we got the Moonlight Dragon, which doesn't really count as a Rose Dragon, which does annoy me, but, Konami just can give us all the things. But, this card actually has been very useful. It's come in handy more than once because, spinning stuff back. A lot of players forget that this card can just spin any level 5 back. You summon a level 5, spin it back. You only get to do that once, but it's kind of funny when they throw out a boss monster and then they have to, negate it. Waste their negate right then and there. So, it's just kind of fun. Then you got your Black Rose. You kind of need this card still. You need this card for this one. Also, Field Nuke. Who doesn't love a good old-fashioned Field Nuke? Then we got Parallel Empress of Blossoms. This card is the card we typically use to get Titanial out. And another fun fact, if your opponent ignores this card and just focuses on Titanial, which for some reason does happen a little bit on Edo Pro, it's kind of fun to just bring it back on the next turn and watch your opponent go, oh, I just wasted getting rid of that card for nothing. Dawn Dragster. Now, I haven't seen a lot of the plant players playing this card, and I think they should. This card is just a spell and trap negate, which I think is really powerful, so it's also a budget negation. This one we're playing Neteria Barkion because we can. Originally, what I was trying to do with this card being in the extra deck was using this is what I was doing instead of playing Rose Princess and Rose Girl. I was playing a Psychic engine with Psychic Wielder and Psychic Tracker, and that didn't work out very well. I mean, it worked out well enough. I'll be honest, it did work out well enough, but there were problems. There would be times where I just didn't have discard fodder for the plant stuff, and there might be something with these guys at a later date. You know what I mean? You might see them in a future version of this deck. I don't know yet, but because I was just trying. The only reason why I even bothered with it is because a lot the 2 out of the 3 Rose Dragons in the main deck are level 3 that you play. So I thought, ooh, there's something there I can mess with. I'm still tinkering. I just wanted to kind of show you guys what I'm working with here. But Neteria Barkion seems really good because just being able to negate trap cards. I wish that we had a way to more easily go for Neteria Beast, but I'm going to keep tinkering. I bet you there's something I just haven't thought of yet. Then we got Coral Dragon. This card is actually another card that I'm actually really thinking like this one's definitely a mainstay for future carnations of this deck because it's spot removal as well as a draw. It's a tuner, which does a synchro tuner, which doesn't come up often, but in the off chance that it does, he's there. So it's kind of cool there. There's something to mess with there. You can also use this guy with the Carrot Champion and get out Blood Rose. So just FYI. Also, like I said, I remember I wanted Rose Girl in here because just being able to put her back in the hand so I can have discard fodder for Coral Dragon among other things like Scorpio just was awesome. All right, now here's some of our negation that this deck can play that a lot of other players aren't playing because there are just better negations, which we'll talk about that when we get to the sideboard here. One of the things is I play Virtual World Dragon Long, and the reason why is because it has 2 really good effects. And on the first one, I think is what most people are familiar with this card is this card can be an anti-hand trap card. If your opponent controls a monster on the field and then they try to activate a hand trap that has a different attribute to that monster, you can detach the 2 materials from this card and negate that. That's really cool. The other thing that this card does is as long as it has materials, it can't be targeted. So it's kind of like Yazi in that aspect. So basically, this is how I get around. This deck can get around things like Sky Strikers and Magical Musketeer, which for some reason Edo Pro is just full of these kind of trolly players. I don't know why. But basically, you throw anything that says, "Oh, I can't be targeted," and then watch that deck scream. So that just becomes handy. Then we got Grampulse. Grampulse is just more back row hate and most of our back row hate is going to be in the sideboard, to be honest with you. But there's plenty of wiggle room if you want to start main boarding it. I just chose to go for it more of being a side thing. But Grampulse is kind of our extra deck monster that kind of says, just blow stuff up. And with a 2800 defense, I just, I don't know. Seemed good. Then we got Cicada King. This is another negate. Now, you guys probably have seen this in the Beat Trooper deck, and it's definitely better there than it is here. It's basically, at the most point, we're just using it as a monster effect negation on the field, as well as a 3000 defense, because after it negates, it gets a bonus. Borreload, I never really go into this, to be brutally honest. You could literally replace this with any other link. You'd probably play Nightmare Phoenix, would probably be a better one, actually, but I don't know. I felt like I needed something big. And stealing an opponent's monster seemed pretty good, so we'll go with that. And then, of course, we got our Crossroads Dragon. This is another card that's actually very useful, and I didn't realize how useful it was until I did it the first time, because you can actually use this guy to get your Black Rose and your Blood Rose out on your opponent's turn. So that seems really good to me. Also, one of the things I also wanted to say in earlier carnations, I wasn't playing the Blood Rose, and I didn't realize how powerful the banishing of the graveyards actually was. There were some decks during the testing phase of this deck that if I had realized that I could just use Blood Rose to banish the entire graveyard, some of my problems wouldn't have been problems. Because there were a few decks where I managed to clear the field and then still had to deal with, on the following turn, they were basically just playing from the graveyard. And had I been playing Blood Rose, I could have just avoided that whole situation. So it's $20, which is it's a little pricey right now. But I got lucky and got mine cheaper than that. But still, It's, you know, just FYI. And then, of course, now we need to come over to the sideboard because we need to talk about these cards that you probably should be playing that I'm not playing. Okay, so we got Savage and Crystal Wing. These are cheaper cards than the Blood Roses, ironically. And they're very powerful, so if you're not going to bother with getting this, I think that there's still, like, copies of these two guys that are, like, still cheaper than this, that you could probably focus more on that kind of negation. So if you want to go that route, you should go that route. I literally got mine for probably, like, I got my Blood Rose for, like, $10. You know what I mean? Maybe a little more than that. Might have been, like, 13, something like that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Point is, there are still copies of these cards that are Uber that are affordable that you probably should try to get for this deck. Then we got the Pankratops. You know, this card's just, you know, this card is actually something I want. I say is one of these are the actual side cards I have that I think you should have in your sideboard. Pankratops and Twin Twisters. And Pankratops, the reason why is because it's a big monster, and it's basically it's get rid of 2 cards essentially, or it can be. And then you got Twin Twister, you're going to need back row hate because it's going to be something. It's going to be your weakness later. Other cards you might want to consider is playing Lone Fire. I chose not to play Lone Fire because there were too many times where I would open cards like I would open Lone Fire and like something else or the targets I was going for. So I don't know if Edo Pro just hates me and it's making me think that Lone Fire Blossom can be stopped by Ash Blossom, can be stopped by Effect Veiler if they or Imperm if they wanted to, you know, preemptively hit it before it can go off. So then you're just stuck with this plant monster that can't go anywhere. And it's just I lost too many games to trust Lone Fire. I like Lone Fire Blossom. It's just, you know, right now it's just not. It's not right. The format just isn't. What's the word I'm looking for? Right now, the format just isn't where it needs to be for this kind of card to function right now at max capacity, which is really, really disappointing because this card is literally can thin your deck out by like 4 cards. But there's just too many cards right now that hit it. I'm hoping with Crossout being in the game, maybe in future incarnations of this deck, we will see Lone Fire get to be played more and be more effective than it was, because people will be, you know, especially because that's going to be like the benefit of budget for budget players, is that if you can't afford Crossout, don't worry about it, because the truth is, like, other players are going to be trying to compensate for Crossout by hopefully lowering their hand traps. That's one of my little theorios, but we'll see how that goes. Then we got Naturia Beast. Like I said, this is a card I wish I could play. And also, you probably should try to get in Garden Rose Flora and the other Garden Rose monster, the dark one. I'm sure those are other options for you. Naturia Beast is something I would really love to figure out a way to throw this in there. Just because having that very powerful just fill up the graveyard and keep, you know, negation going seems really good to me. And like I said, I might still go back to the tracker and wielder thing, because I like the rank 3s and I like a lot of the synchro 6s and stuff, and just, you know, these cards actually provide some really powerful effects with the you know, being able to destroy a monster with the wielder or making your synchro monsters bigger with tracker. Seems like it's a really good effect, so it's definitely something worth playing around with. Anyway, guys, this has been my Plant Rose Dragon deck. I'm actually really excited to get those cards in the mail, so you should check out my Instagram. It's gonna be, it'll be in the end card. You can just search me out after that. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. If you're new to the Ben 10,000 YGO channel, please consider subscribing. And I'm gonna go finish my cup of coffee. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.